Surrender. You really have no idea with whom you speak, do you, mortal?
Hey guys! Thanks for coming back for another Pixie Talks review vlog. Pixie Talks, reviews and vlogs at Pixie Talks. This week we turn again to the world of Marvel to talk about possibly one of my favorite Marvel characters. The Asgardian prince, son of Odin Allfather, and burdened with glorious purpose. I mean, of course, Loki. Now, I for one am holding out hope for the sequel to Thor 2 to be an out-and-out Loki movie. But in the meantime, an intrepid fan has given us what we all crave. This week I take a look at Loki, brother of Thor. Loki, brother of Thor, is a really interesting fan project. Basically, it takes clips from Thor, Avengers, and Thor 2 and crafts an entirely new movie centered around Loki as a main character. If you haven't seen all three of those movies, I would highly recommend watching those first, because this doesn't really function as a standalone film apart from the others. Rather, it's an exercise in character study, exploring how the narrative looks from an alternate perspective. It's a really neat look at the same three stories, but all as one narrative through the eyes of the villain, and it really works. It turns it into a literally different movie and different viewing experience. And it kind of brings together how all three films are just parts in the larger narrative that is Loki's life. Clips from some deleted scenes are also used, which gives the Avengers portion of the film some added insight. What's really interesting to me is how, by not focusing at all on the Avengers themselves and relegating them to being side characters, it really drove home just how insignificant Earth and the Avengers really are in the grand scheme of the Loki narrative. Loki's actions are uniquely an Asgardian problem, and Earth barely factors into it, even when it literally hangs in the balance. Now, does the editing job work? Most of the time. There are some scene cuts that could have been edited to be a bit more seamless, and at times it can feel a little jerky. Also, I don't know if I agree 100% on all of the scenes that the creator felt the need to include. But in general, it's a very impressive example of how video editing can drastically change pretty much everything about a story. By spending more time with Loki, he feels more like a main character, and we begin to notice pieces that we didn't notice before. For instance, have you noticed how much it seems to be a recurring thing that whenever Thor decides to defy Odin's wishes, Loki ends up in charge? Thor is pretty easily played, and it's pretty obvious why Loki's thought process in general seems to be, get Thor to disobey Dad, obtain throne. I'm really just pretty impressed at how well this character study works. And since Asgard is one of my absolute favorite aspects of the Marvel Universe, it was pretty neat to see an alternate interpretation of Avengers that focused more on it. My hat is off to whoever it was that sat down and took the time to create this. He or she simply goes online by Loki, Odin's son, so I am given to assume that it must be Loki himself who gifted us this glorious new look into his character. I would highly recommend giving this a watch if you have seen the three films that it was taken from. It's a fantastic character study and a really fun Loki extravaganza. And that's it for my review of Loki, brother of Thor. Come on, Marvel, instead of forcibly taking this movie down, why don't you give us an actual Loki movie? You know it's what your fangirls are begging for. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please be sure to subscribe for more. You can add me on Facebook and Twitter, and I'll see you all next week. Bye!